From WXII 12 News, this is breaking news.
A major scare at Louisiana State University is now over. University leaders investigated a report of an armed suspect, but say there was never any threat altogether. Things are now back to normal tonight on campus. Good news there for sure. Turning now to your forecast. Right now we're following an active radar. You can see some pop-up showers developing over the Triad, and in fact these storms are a lot like the ones from yesterday, which caused some damage to the Triad. Trees and branches were down across the area because of strong winds. Want to bring in our chief meteorologist Lainey Pope here to tell us if we can expect more soaking rains tonight. Lainey.
Well, we do have at least a little rain out there, and we do have some storm chances, but they're not as widespread, at least at this time. You see a little bit of wet weather there in the southern part of the Triad. We do have some thunderstorms in areas today where you didn't have the clouds and where you didn't have the storms last night, and that is up over the Virginia border. So a severe thunderstorm right now that is near the community of Chatham in Pennsylvania County, just north of Danville. Any of the storms that do develop, and most of them will be to the north in the short term over the next few hours, they will have the risk for heavy downpours and flooding. Also the risk for some strong gusty winds coming down out of them. Cannot rule out hail either. Now, of course, we had a lot of stormy weather from Winston-Salem, High Point, Greensboro down into Davidson and Randolph County last night. We woke up with clouds. The atmosphere is relatively stable. Temperatures were only in the 80s. So most of what has moved in is sort of collapsing as it moves into that stable air. So we do at least have some rain from Asheboro down to Seagrove, but those were thunderstorms a little farther to the south. So will we see any thunderstorm activity in the next couple of hours? I think we'll be relatively storm free except for the areas to the north. But there is an area of disturbed weather just to the south, a little piece of energy here that's going to track northeast, and that would increase our storm chances for later tonight. So patchy showers this evening, an isolated storm, but after midnight we're looking at another wave of potentially some thunderstorms moving in, as well as some heavy rain in spots.
Thank you so much, Lainey. And with these pop-up showers, you can stay up to date on the radar anytime on our app, so you don't get caught out there in the rain. Just search WXII into the App Store. Governor Roy Cooper is trying to get Republican lawmakers to meet up with him to end the budget stalemate. Now he is bringing educators to the table. Our Bill O'Neill reports from Raleigh on the governor's latest effort to negotiate a deal.
The governor says that he and Republican leaders are talking, but quickly, as there are no budget negotiations underway. Today, when asked who's to blame for the standoff, the governor showed a little anger in his response.
If they don't want Medicaid expansion in their counteroffer, don't put Medicaid expansion in your counteroffer. But they have done nothing.
In some of his toughest language yet, Governor Cooper lashes out at Republican leaders over the stalled budget.
I don't think this Republican leadership knows how to negotiate.
Minutes before the governor's news conference, Senate leader Phil Berger lashed out at the governor, saying in a statement, quote, instead of being honest with teachers by saying he's holding up their pay raises over his Medicaid expansion ultimatum, he's telling them that it's really the mean Republicans who are blocking their raises.
I brought you this. That's my pay stub.
Today, Governor Cooper brought educators to Raleigh to help deliver his message, pointing out that his budget offers them twice the pay raise proposed by Republicans.
You feel that you have been forgotten?
Soletta Urena, a teacher at Page High School in Greensboro, says she's concerned about teacher morale.
But I also want to feel valued, and I want to feel respected as I walk in there as an educator.
Last week, Senate Leader Phil Berger and House Speaker Tim Moore used education to promote the GOP budget, a budget that includes millions for schools such as UNCG and A&T. In an interview with WXII 12 News, Speaker Moore confirmed he's still trying to sway Democrats to override the governor's budget veto. Democrats say that you don't have the votes for the override. What do you say?
I say that I'm very close.
With or without a budget, another school year is about to begin with teacher pay raises on hold and Medicaid expansion keeping Democrats and Republicans away from the bargaining table. In Raleigh, I'm Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.
A state bill requiring North Carolina sheriffs to cooperate with U.S. ICE detainers is now on the desk of Governor Roy Cooper. Several state sheriffs say that they do not support this bill. If the governor signs it, sheriffs who refuse to work with ICE will be removed from office. Happening now, a large crowd is at a Mocksville board meeting, and a cat is the talk of the town. People are discussing the future of Sergeant Butters, who has been with the Mocksville Police Department for a few months as their therapy cat. Recently, he was removed from the department and his Facebook page was deactivated. A lot of people talking about this nationally as well. The town manager says that Butters needs more attention outside of the department, so they are finding him a new home. For more on the backstory surrounding Mocksville Police Department's therapy cat, how he became part of the department, and what led to his removal, head to our website, WXII12.com. Tonight, the Greensboro City Council is considering hiring a new architect firm to work on the Tanger Performing Arts Center. This comes after the previous architecture firm ended up shutting down. The Tanger Center's lead architect, Amanda Hodgins, worked for the previous firm. City staff says that she is critical, really important to the construction and the completion date of the Tanger Center. Members will vote to authorize a contract with Hodgins' new firm worth no more than $140,000. Investigators say a massive explosion that leveled a KFC restaurant was an accident caused by a gas leak. This is Sky 12 video showing the aftermath of that explosion. This happened back on July 11. The force of the explosion destroyed the restaurant and even damaged nearby businesses. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Tonight, a driver is dead after a crash in Greensboro, where police tell us the driver of a Honda Pilot ran off of Guilford College Road and ended up crashing into a tree. This happened this morning. The driver was taken to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Her name has not been released, and the cause of the crash remains under investigation tonight. Happening now, Burlington police are actively looking for a driver and a passenger who were inside of a Jeep when it rear-ended another vehicle. That crash happened at the intersection of Vaughn and Baldwin Roads, where police say one of the Jeep's passengers was ejected from the vehicle. They say two other passengers of the Jeep ended up running away while a car where the driver and two more passengers drove away. The woman was ejected and the passengers were treated by EMS for some of their injuries. A toddler grazed by a bullet while sitting on his mother's lap is now recovering this evening. 3 people are now charged in this case, including 2 teenagers, and police think that the shooting is tied to gang activity. Investigators with the High Point Police Department found more than 30 shell casings outside of an apartment located on East Green Drive. This happened last night. A 2-year-old boy was grazed by a bullet in his forehead, and officers arrested 3 people for that act who ran from a traffic stop nearby. 17-year-old Corey Breeden and 18-year-old Tawan Thompson are now at the Guilford County Jail. A 15-year-old is also in custody. Happening now, Winston-Salem police are looking for 2 young people who shot a man in a wheelchair and a teenager during a robbery. Police say a 16-year-old was shot outside of a home located on Eford Street and showed up at a nearby speedway. They ended up finding 34-year-old Jake Westmoreland, a man inside the home with a gunshot wound. Officers say he is confined to a wheelchair because of a previous shooting. A neighbor says that she heard the shots.
Pop, 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 you know, like it's just one right after the other. Real scared, really scared.
Both victims are expected to be okay. The NAACP continues to fight North Carolina's voter ID law. Kirsten Gutierrez spoke with the group's president in Greensboro about their next steps.
Members of the North Carolina NAACP say the voter ID law is unconstitutional and discriminatory. State House Speaker Tim Moore, who sponsored the voter ID law, says it accommodates all voters' access to a secure ballot. But not everyone agrees.
Voter ID is intended to silence voters of color. Yes. The evidence is overwhelming, and this General Assembly once again had that evidence in front of it as it made its decisions. The people of North Carolina hold sacred our democracy and our fundamental right to vote.
The law itself was passed by the General Assembly in its 2018 lame duck session after Governor Roy Cooper's veto. In December, the NAACP, along with other organizations, filed a lawsuit against the voter ID law.
Prior to the passage of the law, if you were an eligible voter, you did not have to go through the extra step of obtaining an ID that was newly required by the state of North Carolina. that extra step is a burden that is disproportionately falling again on Black and Latino voters in this state.
They hope to repeal the law for voters. They say it will impact across the state.
From people who are elderly, people who, for whatever reasons, never had a birth certificate, and there are plenty of them. And when they go to try to get their photo ID, the requirements are such that they're not able to do that. So how do we address that?
The law mandates voter identification for the 2020 election cycle. It does not affect voters this year. The NAACP has set up a hotline for anyone with questions or concerns. All that information can be found on our website, WXI12.com. In Winston-Salem, Kirsten Gutierrez, WXI 12 News.
House Speaker Tim Moore says that North Carolina's legislation follows laws in other states, dozens of other states, in fact. In a statement, the speaker said, quote, voter ID is a common sense election integrity measure that is needed now more than ever amid bipartisan concerns for the security of our democratic system. The Dixie Classic Fair name will change. The Winston-Salem City Council voted 4-2 in favor of a name change. One member abstained from that vote. Council members started discussing the change months ago when some people in the community said that the name Dixie is divisive, but a city survey found most people wanted the name to remain the same. The earliest the fair's name could change or would change is in 2021. Inspectors are telling people at Greensboro apartment complex to stay off of their balconies until they are repaired. A balcony collapsed at this one in particular. We're talking about Moorhead Apartments last month, injuring a woman. Inspectors from Partners say that termite and water damage made the balcony give way. Inspectors say all of the complex's balconies need to be replaced. The report notes issues with balconies at more than 60 units.